All right, and welcome everybody to today's meteorology segment. Thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, Least Busted, Name News. We're starting out things looking at dust. Yes, dust. From the Sahara Desert. You can see it's blowing across the Atlantic Ocean, ending up in the Caribbean Sea, and indeed fertilizing the Caribbean. We normally use nullschool.net to show jet streams and surface winds, which we'll do now. A normal feature of our meteorology segments. So first, here are the surface winds of the Western world. We've got a pretty strong set of winds here in a counterclockwise rotating low pressure system here south of Ireland. Some rather turbulent surface winds here in the southern Atlantic and southern Pacific Oceans here down toward the tip of South America. And here are the jet streams, and look at how chaotic they are over North America once again. Very chaotic jet streams there. And very not well-defined jet streams over most of the Western world. A little more coherent jet streams in the Southern Hemisphere, although they are doubled up down there, and largely blowing backwards over portions of the Central Pacific, Central Atlantic Oceans. Let's rotate planet Earth to look at the eastern portion of the world. There are the jet streams of the east. It's the 250 hectopascal winds from nullschool.net. And once again, I would note that the Western Pacific Ocean, and Indian Ocean are both featuring backwards jet streams, coherent jet streams blowing east to west, which is backwards. Here are the surface winds of the eastern world, and let's continue on. First, let's thank our patrons. Thanks, patrons. You're the true source of funding for the content on our channel. Our patrons also help to fund our website and all the other stuff going on behind the scenes. They've got all kinds of additional insight and early warnings and multimedia that nobody else gets to see. Consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/smashamash and increase the capabilities of our channel thusly. So next, looking at lightning over the continental U.S. And we see some strong storms in places like Iowa and Missouri, moving into Illinois as we make the video. Next, we'll bring up a real-time lightning map from lightningmaps.org, powered by blitzachtung.org. And we see some terrestrial lightning here northeast of Kansas City, south of Des Moines. Hey, Bethany, there's thunder rolling in Mercer County. Right near the Missouri-Iowa border, we see that strong cell. Also a strong cell of lightning there over eastern Ohio. Shout out to our Ohioan viewers. Shout out to Shane and Ken from Black Pill Radio. Next, a great story here about why we tell you to go out and take time-lapse photography and other imagery of cloud tops of thunderstorms. Turns out that one of these has been tied to weather from space. Yes, the ionosphere and lightning are indeed related, the bridge between space and Earth. And indeed, Earth's atmosphere is largely electric in many ways, as nobody contests the fact that there's things like lightning going on up there. But anyway, sprite seen over the Czech Republic here. And ESA swarm satellites registered perturbations in their magnetic field data as they passed over Poland. The distance between the ground tracks of the satellites and the center of the storm was about 500 kilometers. The event caused fluctuations in the scalar magnetic field, with amplitudes reaching 0.2 nanotesla. Now a scientific paper has been published about using SWARM to help provide evidence of the links between transient luminous and magnetic field fluctuations in the upper ionosphere. Anyway, that's where those sprites are happening. Also, all kinds of weird stuff goes on up there, like pink jellyfish and green elves and all kinds of weird ultraviolet emission spectra. going on above thunderheads, which is why if you find yourself at about 80 kilometers from a large thunderstorm, you ought to go out and set up a tripod and take some video such as this, or perhaps maybe time-lapse photography of the area. You may capture things which could make it onto our daily videos. Who knows? Anyway, sprites are large electrical discharges that occur at an altitude of 50 to 90 kilometers above large thunderstorm systems. Our regular viewers may be well aware of it. Turns out there are changes happening to the Earth's magnetic field associated with these. Perhaps this is some progress when it comes to meteorology. I'm just letting the article scroll here. Feel free to have a read. This one is from scitechdaily.com. More fantastic imagery of some red jellyfish there, or whatever you'd like to call them, pink diamonds, blue moons, purple horseshoes, whatever. Funky UV emissions. Now let's talk about ice, as there is a lot of concern that Antarctica is, oh my God, it's melting. The largest freshwater depository in the world are the ice sheets of Antarctica. And you're going to hear constant stories over the next couple of years about how the planet is so hot and so on. Turns out that the Doomsday Glacier may be more stable than initially feared. Why? Oh, because now the new thing is that calving ice sheets, glaciers that are calving into the ocean, may be propping up the rest of the glacier. Why? I guess because the ocean water is frozen. But in any case, another SciTech Daily article published just today, I think, about the Doomsday Glacier, which isn't scary in any way. And by the way, calving events are not caused by glaciers melting. When glaciers melt, they recede uphill. When glaciers calve, it's caused by extreme pressure, usually caused by extreme snowfall, something we've been seeing in the Northern Hemisphere for 4 winters in a row. So the Thwaites Glacier has made the news again, and it turns out that it may be more stable than alarmist fools would have you convinced that it is, depending on whether or not you believe nonsense. So remember, folks, the way to get into any cult is to believe nonsense. Belief in nonsense is a requirement to be in a cult. Whether it's, well, I won't mention any cults, as I don't want the video to be demonetized. In any case, we've brought up a map here of snow and ice extent. So if you look at the area around Antarctica, it looks pretty snowy and icy, as I don't see one single pixel not covered by snow or ice. Below 70, rather above 70 degrees south latitude. In other words, there's nothing but snow and ice above 70 degrees south latitude, as you can see here clearly. Also, I would note how much snow and ice remains in the Northern Hemisphere. The first day of summer is tomorrow, June 21st. This date is from June 18th, so maybe all of the ice has melted, and maybe it's very, very scary and spooky, and maybe, oh noes, sea levels are going to suddenly rise. By the way, welcome everybody to the Neo Renaissance. Check out our own homepage, smashamash.com. Smashamash.org will redirect you. You can find our social media links there and so on. Leave us a comment. Let us know what your favorite social media is. Also, click on SmAsho merch, as our sale through the month of June is about to expire. So all products are discounted through the month of June, and we may reorganize everything starting July 1st. One thing we can assure you is that prices will rise. So if you're going to pick up merch, do it before July 1st. Get your summer kicked off the right way with some of this fantastic merch on the way. Whether or not you'd like to tell your friends and foes not to pole vault the caldera, or that Fauci's a fraud, you can find a link right here at smashamash.com. SmAsho merch. Discounts through July. Next, looking at windy.com's pressure maps. Just before we get into some extreme weather forecasting for the U.S., as there is some very heavy rainfall totals forecasted on the GFS forecast model. We'll show you it in a minute. First, we're going to advance pressure cells. So here's where pressure is now on a global basis. I would note the Antarctic region entirely dominated by low pressure once again. And here's where we expect pressure to be via the European forecast at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow, the first full day of summer. Again, summer begins tonight at 11:32. Make sure you join our live stream at 11:30, or it'll be more like from 11 to midnight on YouTube and Twitch, possibly even Facebook. Facebook.com/smAsho. Yes, there's a page there as well. So, AccuWeather reporting that Claudette to strike U.S. Atlantic coast and Canada after drenching Gulf Coast. Here's some footage of what was going on in Alabama, where the Gulf of Mexico is making an appearance on the roadways. Not optimal. Driving hub deep through water is not particularly advisable, folks. Please don't get swept away in a raging river of water. Don't end up in the Gulf of Mexico, as your car is not an effective shrimp boat. So now we're looking at total precipitation forecast here via GFS forecast model. And this is through Saturday at 12 Universal Time, which is 7 a.m. So 7 a.m. Saturday, Eastern Daylight Time. This is the forecast model, and you can see some massive rain forecasted for northeastern Missouri and central Indiana there. That's like a foot of rain for both of those locations. And the Gulf Coast has further seen an easing of the amount of rainfall, at least from the GFS model. Let me blow that up a little bit bigger. There we go. It looks like most of the rain is expected to fall in the Gulf south of Narlands there. Cheers. Again, keep in mind this is a pretty distant forecast here through Saturday, but we put it up because of those 1 foot plus forecasts for Missouri, part of Illinois and Indiana. So that's very likely to change over that long of a period. If you're looking at a forecast, especially a forecast model and not by a specific person in a specific place, if it's more than a 3-day forecast, it's highly likely to change. So don't believe too many alarmists and their nonsense on YouTube, especially ones who don't understand the atmospheric physics. Anyway, again, that's the forecast from the GFS through Saturday, June 26th at 12 o'clock Universal Time. Next, looking at the real-time Doppler radar map here. This is the U.S. Doppler radar, and you can see these strong storms sweeping across Iowa, about to make their way into Wisconsin and Illinois. Also strong storms striking the Florida Panhandle, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. And we'll give you a better idea of the storm track here. First, the cloud layer. And here's what's going on with the water vapor. So that should give you the best insight. And it looks like this moisture is going to continue moving in a northeasterly direction here. And it looks like it's going to move pretty slowly as a result of this dry mass of air not providing much of an impulse. And it all has to do with the jet stream being all chaotic and broken up and incoherent in the northern hemisphere. Anyway, there's the U.S. Doppler radar once again. There's the cloud layer. And there's the water vapor map. Hopefully that gives you some insight. And thanks for tuning in to our meteorology segment. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. smAsho, signing off from the Smash News Network, Least Busted. Name and News.